Hey guys, my name is Betsy. Were you ever been struck by the lightning of memories you have tried to forget so hard? Feels like it was just yesterday. I had this exact feeling when I saw him, my first love. His name was Jason, my school crush. He was really cool and I wasn't the only one who liked him. I didn't make any moves even though we had plenty of common friends and often spent time together. I was scared to take the first step, and for a long time I kept my feelings to myself until I physically felt that it was impossible to wait any longer. I finally dared to talk to him, and lucky for me, it was Valentine's Day soon. I decided to give him a postcard and tell him about my feelings that way. I chose the biggest card. I didn't know for a while what to write. I watched the Titanic movie. Words came pouring. I described my deep love and that I was ready for anything to be with him. Well, I did my best to make that card special, and I hoped that my efforts would pay off. On Valentine's Day, I was really excited. I guess I had a dumb smile on my face all the way to his classroom. I could hear my heart beating so fast I could barely breathe, and imagine my disappointment when I didn't find him there. I knew he might be next to the restroom with his friends, so I went there. I felt that my heart was going to jump out of my chest, and his smell stuck in my mind when I smelled him once. But he wasn't there either. I asked his friends where I could find Jason. Maybe he is sick. When I found out what happened, everything in me broke off. All my hopes collapsed. It turned out that his family moved to another city, and even his friends didn't know where did he move. He cut off all contacts and warned only the closest friends. I got depressed, and I kept asking myself why I didn't told him about my feelings. What should I do with my love for Jason? However, the more time passed, the less often I remembered about Jason, until I entered university. In my freshman year, I saw him. He was the same Jason that I remembered. All my memories, my feelings returned to me. This time, I didn't want to wait. I approached him and started talking real fast. I told him we went to school together, and he helped me to get a book from a high shelf in the library once. He was looking at me with a smile on his face. I realized that he didn't remember me, so I apologized and left. I really wanted to cry. Since then, we have not seen each other. I came to my senses and thought about how to make up for this oversight and start to communicate normally. A few weeks passed before we saw each other again. This time, when he saw me, he immediately smiled and came over. He told me that he remembered me and how funny I laughed at his jokes, even showed a school photo from a trip with our friends. Oh my God, I looked so silly in those glasses, a real ugly duckling. He noticed that my face turned red and said, "Well, you were interesting to talk to." It was cute. Soon we began dating, and it was him to offer that. I was incredibly happy. He was very attentive and wanted to meet my parents. I was glad to introduce him to my mother, but I didn't want him to meet my father. Yes, I have to tell you about my father. My parents had a firstborn son before me. My father was really waiting for him. Well, something happened. The child died. My father was beside himself with grief. My mother supported him as she could, but lost her faith when he literally went crazy and began to study esoteric and the dark side and tried to carry out some rituals. My mother was scared for herself and me and soon left him, making him even more miserable. He lost everything important in his life and began using drugs. But after a long hard work with the psychologist, he felt better and Mom returned to him. My father was distracting himself with magic. It began to turn out well. He developed it to a full-fledged show and began to collect huge hauls, and his show became very popular. His favorite trick was to turn into a bat, but the most popular trick was when he was chained, then put into a barrel. The barrel was also wrapped in chains. Then it was lifted to the very top, and the resource was placed with the water below. Then the barrel was set on fire. It fell into the water. Steam, spray, smoke, everyone is looking at the stage. And my father appeared at the end of the audience. Everyone was thrilled. He was cured, but still a little weird. I asked him to be the most ordinary father and not throw jokes at the table during dinner, such as bats flying out of the sleeves. But I have been preparing Jason for a long time to meet my father. When the day came, I have to admit that Jason was rather calm and confident and tried his best to maintain a conversation, but my father was silent. Suddenly, my father offered to try his special meal. He brought a plate that was closed, put it in front of Jason, and sharply lifted the lid. A cloud of bats flew out, and we saw raw meat with vegetables on the dish. Jason was shocked and could not recover. Then he quickly pulled himself together and thanked my dad for the interesting presentation and fantastic dish. My father was pleased with the effect, and the conversation slowly became full. Only now I could breathe out. It seems all is well. Jason began to spend a lot of time with my father. I even became a little jealous. Still, I was glad they got along. Once, they left to the studio, where they used to create new tricks. They were gone for too long, and I decided to go and check on them. When I got there, I found my dad beaten nearly to death. He was mumbling, "They know, they know." "Oh my God, who did this?" I asked. He answered, "Jason," and fainted. I called the ambulance and police and rushed to Jason's house. I was angry, but deep down knew that Jason wouldn't do it. I entered the house and started looking for Jason when someone pressed a scarf to my nose. My head began spinning and I fainted. I woke up in a weird house. Jason was sitting next to me saying, "I'm sorry for what happened." I was furious. "How could you do it? I'll kill you." "Quiet, kids. What are you so worked up?" said a man in a black suit. "It will be over soon. Steve is on his way. He will decide what to do with you. Keep digging." A group of men started digging a hole in the middle of the warehouse. "Your father was a talented burglar. He could masterly crack any locks and hack any security systems. So my father offered him to work together. I must tell you everything. I'm Steve's son. He's the head of this gang. After the robbery, lots of money were delivered here, but your dad went crazy, and he set money on fire. I met you soon, and my father used me to get to your father and learn his secret. I failed the mission because I fell in love with you." I was listening to him with a shock when suddenly saw FBI coming down from the roof. They arrested everyone. As I later found out, my father had woken up and told the police where the group could be. Now, my father is recovering and working on his new show. At first, I was furious with Jason, but he was persistent and proved many times that he loved me. So, I was unable to resist him. We are getting married soon. I hope the dark past of our parents will never affect my life again. Thank you for your attention. Click the like button and leave your comments.